Well, thank you everyone for joining today. I'm really excited to talk about this year's program offerings. Really excited to see everyone here. I'm so passionate about this work in K-12 schools, and I know that you all are as well. So really excited to dig in and really be able to support your programs this year, or your projects this year. So just a quick overview of what we'll be chatting about today. I'm going to give you a general quick history of what and how we have funded these projects through this program, as well as what are the opportunities for this next year. Additionally, we'll hear from two awardees to provide some advice and perspectives on their own experiences through this program, and answer any questions. So if you have questions, please feel free to just drop them in the chat, and we'll get to them. My colleague Larissa, who is on this call, will gather them, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end. The other thing I did include in this agenda is we'll hear from Gen 180 about some support that they're offering for free. So to dig in and just get started, same AOIs from the past years of this program as this year. AOI 1 is that really like capacity building for energy management, either energy data management supported directly, or creating a net zero energy portfolio and plan to reach those energy efficiency capital, solar on schools, and net zero energy schools. So no changes to the AOIs we are working or we are looking at for this year. Those have relatively stayed the same, and I'll dig in more directly with each of these. So looking at AOI 1, there's split out into two categories. The first is looking at technical support to establish or expand on your use of Portfolio Manager, the Energy Star Portfolio Manager, or whatever you use to track your energy data. So, not prescribing any sort of specific platform to use, but really to help you start to track that energy data better, or get started on it initially, so that you can know where are the opportunities for reducing your energy. And that can include consultants to help you set up for that, the software purchases itself, as well as the setup and operation for those platforms. And additionally, it does allow for temporary positions to be made for your district to manage this energy data. So, it can be a really good opportunity to get some extra support, and through that energy data, potentially make some energy savings that can help fund that position in the future. Category 2 is looking at creating an energy facilities master plan specifically to reach and achieve net zero energy across your portfolio. So that is funding consulting positions or consulting services, or additional LEA staff for the integration of net zero into your existing facilities master plans. That can be new, temporary, or consulting positions to incorporate those elements into your master plan. And that in that category, we are offering $1.5 million for this AOI, split out for $1 million in category 1, $500,000 in category 2, with some ability to massage as needed. If we get more demand in one area, we can massage that as needed. In the past, we've had some good participation in this. You can see how that's kind of been divided out, and what we expect an average award to be. To give you an example of a district who has done this, Frederick County actually was awarded in both categories for FY24, and they're using that to populate and create their portfolio manager with the facilities data, develop protocols for analyzing that energy, as well as creating that energy roadmap. So they kind of took the two-prong approach, which is very cool, and I'm excited to see what their findings are in the next year. And again, that's $1.5 million available for this upcoming year for this category. Next up is probably our most popular category, energy efficiency. And I say that because I think that if you can think of what projects you already have in the queue, you probably have one of these already scheduled for your facilities. So let's make it energy efficient. Let's find a way to make it fit the scope of this so that you can get it funded. LEAs can submit more than one application for this category. I will note that we're trying to fund one application per applicant first, and then we'll move to additional applications. But if you have 5 projects, put them in, and then we'll see what we can do to get those funded. An application for this category should represent one project at one location. So an HVAC replacement at an elementary school, or a building control upgrade at a high school. So one project per location. So you can submit multiple, but just ensure that that is true. And this category does have a 75% cost share. That's true from last year, so we kept that. If you're pursuing geothermal under this category, those tax credits are still eligible, and we want you to pursue that because you can get that 25% made up through those tax credits. Minimum funding request for each application is $50,000 with a maximum of $3 million. And then lastly, I will note that we are funding lighting upgrades. However, they're deprioritized in this cycle. So we will score and award all other applications, their first applications first. And then if funding exists and remains, we will fund those lighting upgrade projects. And I did mention that we'll prioritize the first application per applicant in this category first, and then move on to second applications, third applications, so on, until our funding is depleted. And under this category, we are expecting 15 million available. So this, again, I made sure that this was our most popular category, so I made sure that this was highly funded, with some ability to do partial awards, as well as, massage the funding if there's a lot more demand. And you can see here how this is shaken out. Clearly is the most funded category under this program in the past. Some example projects, we'll hear about a couple actually today, but a geothermal heat pump at Dorchester in 2024, 2 electric boilers at Calvert in 2024, replacing a fossil fuel boiler, and building automation control systems at multiple Anne Arundel schools in this year. So again, this is electrification-driven energy efficiency projects. So anything that's going to drive your energy down or replace fossil fuel equipment with electric equipment. And that's 15 million for this year. Next up is solar on schools, AOI 3. We are funding both direct ownership and third-party ownership models again this year. And note that though those tax credits are going away, we are requiring you to pursue them if they're still available. If you are unable to achieve those tax credits, we will cover it. And if you do receive it and we've already covered that amount, we will actually put that to a different project. So, willing to talk it out a little bit about that if you do pursue direct ownership, how we can kind of plan that out to make sure you're getting the funding that you deserve. As well, under this category, we are funding solar planning and technical assistance. So maybe you're not sure exactly where to put the solar. Let's do technical assistance, and then in the next year, fund your solar array. Any configuration is eligible under this. So if you want to do rooftop, if you want to do solar canopy, those are all eligible. A couple notes on this one. First, we are restricted under this category for schools that are only designated as overburdened. So there is a really cool map that MDE has made where you can check to make sure you're eligible under those census tracts. I will share that out when I send the recording for this call, but this is restricted to just overburdened or schools that are designated in a census tract that is designated as overburdened. You may submit multiple applications under this AOI. So say you have 5, arrays that you want to fund separately. It makes more sense to me to do one application because it's not limited to a specific location. You can have one large application for multiple solar installs in different locations. But if you choose to do it in separate and do multiple, that's totally fine. We will try to again fund the first application per LEA. And those technical studies we will fund up to $30,000 or $50,000. And for both third party and direct ownership, there's a cap of $1 million per application. And we are expecting to provide $11 million for this year, for this next round. So you can see how it's kind of shaken out this over the last few years, hoping to see a little bit more participation in this. Some example projects is, I think Comco did a technical assistance for 3 different school sites. Garrett County has done third-party ground mount, which included technical assistance, and Baltimore City Public Schools actually did a direct ownership of a $500,000 or 500 kilowatt array at Furley, which actually let it be net zero. And again, $11 million available for this AOI. Now, lastly, this is our net zero energy schools AOI. So this is really looking to fund the incremental costs associated with the design, the construction, and post-occupancy commissioning of the net zero energy school projects. So that can include, again, the design or the construction, those things that you need to think about prior to constructing your building, but to really make it net zero and as efficient as possible, we can fund that. It can also include the solar that you need to get it to net zero, the geothermal heat pumps that you need to get it to net zero, any of those technologies that are going to help it reach that, as well as the post-occupancy commissioning. And under this, we expect to be funding each application about $1 to $3 million per application, but please put in your request when you do submit your application, put in how much you're expecting us to fund, and we will work that out as best as possible. And we are expecting about $8.5 million available for this category. And you can see how this has shaken out. There's a lot of really good participation in 2024 because of that funding and construction cycle with IAC. There's a lack of ability to do it this year, but we're hoping to see more applications in this next year. So this has funded the solar feasibility study at high school in Kent County, energy efficiency projects at an existing middle school in Anne Arundel, and net zero designs for Montgomery County, Prince George County, and Baltimore City. So there's a wider range, and some creativity can be involved in what you want to fund under this category. It's a little less prescripted because we understand there's so much to net zero energy school construction. So happy to work with you on figuring out what might make sense. And just so you can have an idea of how much more funded this is from previous years, you can see here across the 3 years we've been running this program as it exists now. This has really been highly funded this year, and I'm looking to spend all of this money. I want to leave no money on the table here. So let's figure out how to make these grants work for you, what projects you already have in the queue, and how can we make that work for this funding. My goal is to leave this at $0 for every single one. And to give you insight into why it's important for us to drain this funding essentially so that we can tell the state, this money is in demand and schools need this, so that it helps fund it for next year's. This is a priority project for both Governor Moore and Director Penske for MEA, but I think the demand is really going to show that future funding is needed. So here's again a rundown of what money is available under each AOI here. Happy again to work with you on figuring out what makes sense. 36 million available for K-12 schools decarb projects. So I'm really excited to say that, and I'm really excited to see how we can fund your projects. Just a couple of key highlights for you all. And differences from the last year. Capital stacking is still available. I know those tax credits have changed a little bit, but especially for geothermal, that's still there and highly encouraged. And then as well, AOI 3 and all the other AOIs, you can submit for multiple awards in each category. Again, we're going to try to fund the first application for every LEA and then move forward on second applications, third applications, fourth applications. And then just as a key highlight, the applications are open now and are due on Friday, November 21st at 3 p.m. So please submit those by this date. Trying to get it so that we have your commitment letters out by February, January of next year, so that you have your grant agreements in place before March, so that you have plenty of spring to plan for summer construction. I'm happy to work with you on figuring out how to make those timelines work, especially if you have projects already in the queue that are ready to go. Great. Well, I am going to pass it now to Tish Tablan and Greg Lebecki at Gen 180 to share a little bit about some resources they're offering for K-12 schools.
Hi everyone, I'm Tish Tablan. I'm the Senior Program Director at Generation 180. I founded and lead a nationwide program to help schools across the country access the benefits of clean energy. And I'll hand it over to Greg to introduce himself.
Well, hello everyone. Boy, this is so exciting to see all the activity happening in Maryland. And hats off to you, Kristen, with your assignment there. It was great to work with you in the past. And now I'm on board with Gen 180, providing some energy and related sustainability consulting to leverage my 15 years experience with Salt Lake City School District, where I was very much involved in the district's implementation of a $29 million performance contract, which came as a result of student engagement and the implementation of solar projects to the tune of 3.6 megawatts, using a performance contract and a pretty creative funding mechanism, which is called a tax-exempt lease purchase agreement, which is really an interesting thing to explore, where you, with the use of a performance contract, are able to use the savings purely to pay off the lease, if you will, that is used to pay for the solar and lighting and other efficiency related measures that have some tangible backing, which leases tend to require. So I'm happy to assist with any projects that are at a point of hitting an obstacle, there was school board member perspective that they can bring to the table, as well as just the kind of way to look at the numbers, assuming the payback based on anticipated increases in energy costs, and so looking at return on investment, and something that I always encourage is life cycle cost analysis when looking at schools are going to be around for a very long time, and some of these decisions really do pan out over sometimes a longer period. But as we all know, schools are going to be around for many years. So really happy to be participating in this again. I'm really thrilled to see all the activity and participation in those school districts and throughout Maryland. So congratulations. And, I hope to hear from some of you.
Yeah, so I'll give some context to what Greg was talking about. So Chris and I have been working together on helping schools reach clean energy goals for years. Generation 180 started a project partnership with MEA when it launched the Decarbonizing Public Schools program a few years ago. And I work at a national level, and I'll just give you all some context if you haven't looked around to see how unique and how generous this program is. One of the things I do in my work is we track national trends on K-12 schools adopting clean energy, and I will tell you Maryland is leading the way and offering this kind of grant funding for schools. I can list maybe 2 other states that are offering at least solar-specific grants for this kind of work, and both of those grant programs in Minnesota, there's a Solar for Schools program. In Pennsylvania, there's a Solar for Schools program. And each of those have to be renewed in a General Assembly or state legislature budget. So they have generous grants, but they're not guaranteed to continue. MEA is in a unique position to have continuous funding through the Strategic Energy Investment Fund, which gets its money from RGGI. So this program is well set up and unique. So I just want to make sure Maryland schools know how good you have it to have Kristen here on your side and to have these resources for you. So as a nonprofit, as a project partner, one of the things we're doing is using our own grant funding to support applicants for this program. One of the things we're doing is helping MEA track and see in a visual way who's gotten funding over the previous fiscal years, what types of projects did they get funded to do, and you can use our interactive map to see that. We're also sharing success stories, so identifying types of projects that you may be interested in, or just helping share awareness. So you may not know that Dorchester County has geothermal heat pumps. So if that's not a technology you're familiar with, or it's a type of project that you want to explore, read about how Dorchester County did it, or reach out to someone at that school district. So we're also trying to help information share and help you all do your jobs and make this as easy of a process as it can be. Next slide. One of the ways we do that, we have an amazing school leadership and clean energy network. It's free, it's low barrier. It's really just for creating a peer network to help it be easier for you to find peers in your own state that are doing similar projects and you can call upon to ask for advice. Jamie Alston has been on this call last year talking about projects they did. Prince George's County is doing a lot of things. They have carbon neutrality goals and clean energy goals they're working through. Baltimore City, Baltimore County, they're all doing amazing things. So again, we're just trying to help support you in your role and help elevate the good work that's being done and see how we can help facilitate information sharing and support efforts. Okay, next slide. And of course, as Greg here, as a retired energy manager at Salt Lake City, he's got so much experience that he just talked about, including at Salt Lake City. He managed $40 million of capital projects for energy and water efficiency He reduced their utility bills by $1 million a year, helped reduce carbon emissions district-wide by 30%. So he knows his stuff. What we're offering as a nonprofit is, hey, you can get a free hour of energy coaching, energy advising with Greg. Even if you're kind of in a position of like, oh, this is overwhelming. Look at all the different grant programs. I don't know what to go for first. Or here's where we are in our building portfolio planning and our capital planning. I could just use another brain to talk with and see like, how would you approach this problem, or should I prioritize this over that? I think Greg would be a great thought partner for you. And we're just trying to think of different ways we can be an ally and offer you resources that you need to help you get to keep moving forward. So that's really all we have. Back in the first slide, I'm sure Kristen will share these slides. Our email addresses are in there. So if you have questions about the School Leadership and Clean Energy Network and how to join that, if you want to reach out to Greg and set up a time to meet with him, that's all things we're providing for free for Maryland schools. And back to you, Kristen.
Thanks, Tish and Greg. Yeah, and as Tish mentioned, I previously worked with Generation Way 80, so I highly recommend their free services. They're really a great resource to connect with other school leaders who are in your position further along, maybe a little bit you're ahead of them. It's a really great opportunity to learn from each other. And as well, I will amplify that Greg's support is really valuable there. I think having someone who has been there before and has been in your shoes and try to help you figure out what are the puzzle pieces that I'm looking at and how do I line them up in the right way and how do I get the most out of my funding. I think that's super valuable. I'm always here to help, guide you through the process, but sometimes like Tish mentioned, it's helpful to just get a third ear and have another perspective that can really help support your strategy. I will, you have the emails there, but I will also include their emails in my follow-up email tomorrow with the recording of this email. So I highly encourage you to check them out and reach out. Awesome. I want to pass it over to two awardees who have been funded in the past. Zach Lammers from Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Anne Arundel has killed it in this last year. They got 13 awards in 2025. So they really went and pursued all of the funding that was available, and they were successful. And I think that it's going to help them, move further along into their climate energy goals and really improve their district sustainability. Zach, if you are ready, go ahead and unmute and share any advice and perspectives that you have for folks in the room.
Sure. Can you just let me know that you can hear me fine?
I can hear you, yes.
Perfect. Thank you. The landscaping crew was just outside the window for about the last 30 minutes, so perfect timing. No, we're very appreciative. This has been a fundamental kind of game changer for just the advancement of what we've been doing in terms of energy efficiency and decarbonization. It's really helped us kind of take some additional steps that we had always been interested in and had started some baby steps towards. But just the 4 separate kind of areas of interest allowed us to actually take real measured steps on things that we want to do with net zero school, rooftop solar, enhance what energy data management we had already been doing, and then a significant amount of work on energy efficiency capital projects. So we're just very appreciative that we're able to kind of turbocharge some of the things that we were already doing, but also kind of get a little bit more detailed into the things that we hadn't had the comfort level to get into just yet. What I'll say is we're also very fortunate that it's not all on myself. I've been working closely with and have a lot of support from our supervisor of planning, design, and construction. So I think that's a key aspect is, and I know everyone here hears this often, is the interdepartmental collaboration. I've been very fortunate to have support from our supervisor of planning, design, and construction, who already has a lot on his plate, in addition to the director of facilities. So all 3 of us have been very closely following this program the last 3 years. you know, communicating internally where we think we can, you know, leverage these funds and going after the applications where eligible, and taking what we can get each year. Every year has been different, just based on the overall kind of maintenance backlog, and also where we're at in terms of like a capital planning perspective. But like I said, I think there's something here. MEA has structured this program where there's something here for everyone, whether it's, you know, bolstering your energy data management systems, which I think AOI 1 category 1 is a very flexible category. There's you know, formula funding there that you can take and run with that. And again, there's everything from the energy efficiency capital where there's a ton of funding available. Pretty low barrier to application there, really. Obviously, you need to identify your potential savings and your decarbonization impact. But again, pretty low barrier to apply there, and a lot of different project opportunities. And then rooftop solar is a little bit more constrained, but with having to meet the you know, particular census tract eligibility. So we went after the schools that we could there. We're also still pursuing rooftop solar on all new schools outside of those census tracts. So this really was kind of helping us, I think, kind of balance out our overall rooftop solar costs at the end of the day. So again, great to see the funding there. And then net zero school, we had been slowly but surely working in that direction. And really the timing of this overall program where it laid out funding available in AOI 1 for net zero planning worked out really well. We took advantage of that in FY23. We had just completed a large high efficiency, high performance middle school that throughout that process, we kind of, with our forecasted models, you know, anticipated net zero readiness or near net zero capabilities. And we had a second middle school that we knew was going to be designed and built a couple of years later. So we knew that funding for this net zero AOI 4 would be a perfect match. And so we put a lot of time and energy into that with the design team and went after it, and were able to identify how rooftop solar, carport solar, and a host of ECMs could, you know, take us to where we needed to be in terms of net zero on that particular school. So very exciting to continue working on that. And we're just now, you know, getting together again as a team internally to kind of see what projects we still have available to pursue, primarily in AOI 2. We're looking at AOI 3 to see if we can capture potentially another school building in another census tract, and then I'm not so sure what we may have available in AOI 4, but we're definitely going to go after anything that we can there. Something that I wanted to point out that we've learned over the years is it's a bit tricky, but it shouldn't really be a significant barrier by any means, but it is a bit tricky on our side to plan for and be ready for the notice of award. So you mentioned this, Kristen, your anticipated notice of award, you're hoping January, February, which certainly helps. The past couple of years, again, it hasn't stopped us, but it has presented some challenges where notice of award kind of starts the clock for the 24-month to 27-month or 36-month, whatever the AOI is, starts that clock. However, you guys are still working on the grant agreements, and then we have to wait really to recognize that funding in our budget until we receive a grant agreement. We have to go through the budget supplemental process. And then once we get that approved by the board, which will take multiple months, then we can go out and, you know, issue POs, finalize designs, issue POs, and then, you know, issue construction notices, things like that. So just keep that in mind. There's a bit of a kind of lag between when you may receive an award and when you actually get the grant and when you can identify the funding within your budget. If you have some cash flow and you can manage that on smaller projects, great. I think that's also a strategy that we've been able to leverage internally, is leveraging some of our capital miscellaneous revenue to forward fund some of these things in line with the MEA timeframe. But that is one of the things that you have to kind of be aware of. those are really kind of the highlights that I wanted to hit with regard to our participation in this program. But yeah, we're just very excited to continue working on this, and appreciate, you know, all the support. I'm open to sharing anything and everything about the different projects we've worked on. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and we can set up a call, or I can email you back.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach. Really appreciate that perspective and all the points that you made. And to your point about the lag, there's definitely some sort of gap between the commitment letter and grant agreement. I'm hoping to close that gap a little bit this year. However, I will note that, you know, if you have a project that you're really waiting to get started on, and we have done this in the past, I will approve the purchases and any cost associated with the project after the commitment letter, but before the grant agreement. So if there is a lag that you're looking to get funded in between, let me know. Happy to work it out with you. I think we did that in the past with your some of your projects, Zach. So they're, you know, happy to massage it. It's not always going to be perfect, but willing to make it work for you all. Awesome. Thank you, Zach. And then Andy from Dorchester has also joined us. Andy has been managing 5 awards from us over the last couple of years, 3 in 2024, 2 in 2025. Forgive me, I don't have the exact ones. I know some are geothermal, some was solar, and some were in that energy management. So a good range of the opportunities here. Andy, if you want to hop off mute and share any perspectives and advice that you have, please feel free.
All right. Thanks, Zach, for sharing. I kind of echo a lot of the stuff that you said, and our experience has kind of been the same. A little bit different probably than Zach. I've kind of inherited most of this and kind of took over in 2025. So I think we'll see our the number of projects that we try to get funded through this in 2026 increase. We've kind of focused on the AOI 1 and 2. I think as Tish mentioned, we actually have 7 buildings that are geothermal in Dorchester County. Something I guess that our previous facilities person was kind of hung his hat on, so to speak. And we saw an opportunity with the MEA grants to kind of move initiatives that we had internally forward just a little bit faster, kind of similar to other counties where we could, especially with like AOI 1, a smaller district has an opportunity to set up and automate their utility bill management or collection, and really not have any cost output. You can kind of cover all of that with that AOI 1. I will add though, to kind of note for each district, please kind of check and see what the maximum your specific county is allocated. I think AOI 1 has limitations based on the size of your district. So for example, a smaller district like Dorchester, we're capped out at our award at 55,000. So that said, each year you can kind of go back to that same area of interest and kind of move that forward and move that initiative forward year after year. I think it's also good to note that if you're looking at AOI 1, the link between energy management software and the actual portfolio manager is very important. So when you guys are researching those programs, to make sure that there's some type of connection or easy download process between your utility management software and the portfolio manager. And then AOI 2, our experience has been extremely good. I will say, to echo Zach again, I kind of wish the grants were just project connected as opposed to agreement date connected. It kind of helps us with that funding and the POs and all of that. So not sure if that's in the works to change that kind of, funding, I guess, footprint, but it would be helpful if they were kind of geared more towards the projects and have them connected to it. So that can be something that can be kind of a hurdle or a hindrance to maybe getting a specific project or a specific award project tied to a specific project. I guess from other things that we've seen, my process and my connection either with Kristen or Joanna or whoever you're dealing with at MEA, extremely easy. The reporting process has been really easy. So always available for you is something that kind of comes to mind. Usually takes only a couple of days to get, connected back up. Other than that, I think that just access to these things for any specific district. Again, Zach mentioned it. There's something for any district. I've been in other meetings with other peer groups that are like, oh, this certain area is not going to be able to pull anything out of this grant or program. If you really dig down into it and read it a little bit, it's not that hard to put together an actual proposal. I will also say that if you're in AOI 2 or 3, to try to make sure you are putting those savings numbers into your proposal. And if you are in one of these census tracts, I highly encourage you guys to reach out and put in a proposal, because it really does move you up the ladder in terms of getting an award. So same as Zach, like, anybody wants any information on any of the geo projects that we've done in the past, work that we've done with 180 in the past and case studies there. I do have most of that information pretty close at hand, so please feel free to reach out, and look forward to this just kind of continuing and us to see where we can get into AOI 3 and 4 in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andy.
Yep.
I really appreciate that point that, there is something for every district, because I think that's so true. And what I've been trying to emphasize, if you've heard me talk before, is look what's in your queue currently, because there's probably something here. There's probably something there that could be funded through this. So it doesn't have to be a completely new project. You don't need to be creating new things just to get funding. Let's figure out how to make your current schedule work and be funded. Just a couple of things I want to emphasize before we move on to questions and feedback. Just to reiterate, LEAs are eligible to submit multiple applications for every AOY here. So if you have multiple projects, please submit them. Another point I wanted to add that I didn't note is I did edit the FOAs this year so that there is an increase of the award terms. So I made them a little bit longer, because I saw that there was a lot of folks who were needing the amendment or extensions, and those are still eligible, and you're always welcome to email me asking for an extension. But I wanted to make sure that it seemed like the terms weren't necessarily working. So I increased each one by a little bit. I don't have the exact amount of months off the top of my head, but check them out. They are more than they have been in the past. As well, wanted to note on the base grant for AOI 1, it is a formulated grant award amount. I did increase the base grant so that the scaling factor, so looking at how many buildings you actually have, matters a little bit less. So those I increased those base amounts a little bit more for equity purposes. And then lastly, I am always welcoming feedback. You all know this is my first year of doing this program, so I am here to listen to you all on how to make this better. So if you ever have thoughts, feel free to just drop some time on my calendar. I believe my colleague Larissa dropped a link where you can book on my calendar. I encourage you to keep that link and use it whenever you need, or shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever it is. I'm here to listen to you and make these awards better for you. So please reach out, please be in touch. Happy to discuss ideas that you have so that you can put a best application forward, ask me questions about how to make an application that is likely to be funded. Please just be in touch with me about what your ideas are. I'm going to move to questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat or come off mute if you have any, either for myself, Andy, or Zach. There was one question that I answered in the chat, but I'll reiterate here. Adam Schultz asked if AOI 1 can be used for other analytical software like Pritchett controls. And I took a real quick glance. Would need to confirm, but it's likely yes. If it's looking at energy efficiency and how to manage your energy data for efficiency reasons, then yes, that software would be eligible for a grant award.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so essentially it looks at how the BAS is being used and determines if there's a more efficient means to implement it.
Yes, then that would be great. Yes, I think that's well within the scope.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll reach out to you about other things.
Awesome. Awesome. I see another question here. PDF applications. I will approve them. Yes. It might say no. I will approve them. Email me if that's something that you want or need so that I can have that heads up. But you can. Adam, please.
So I can't find the quarterly reporting form for 2025. Every time I get to 2024. Is it okay to fill that out? Because I think I owe you some stuff.
Yeah, I'll email you. I haven't sent out that request yet. It's the same exact form. The only thing that's changed is the year. So you can use 2024 if you're ready.
Can I fill it? Yeah, I've already started filling out. I'm just going to put them all in one form if that's okay. It looks like that's how it's designed. Fine. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Totally fine. Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Adam. Joanna, please.
Hi, thank you for accepting the PDF application. I appreciate that. And I don't know if other LEAs are the same, but it's much easier for us to route a Word document than a JOT form around for approval and get things signed and things. So I appreciate that. I am curious, when you're doing the calculations about the amount of energy saved, if you're defining the period, is it like for 1 year? Is it we are supposed to estimate the life of the project? Like I feel like each of us is sort of in our own vacuum of how we're doing our energy savings calculations, and it's always a very stressful point for us of like, are we doing this like other people are? Are we doing too much? Are we doing too little? So some guidance on that would be helpful.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, because in the past it hasn't been defined clearly. In this new round, we are asking for the lifetime of the technology that you're implementing. And that's for a couple of different reasons. Again, to your point, to kind of unify all of these calculations so that we know that it's all the same. And then as well for reporting purposes, it is lifetime of the technology. And that is included, that is noted on both the application and the FOAs this year. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
Adam, go ahead.
Hey, sorry. Would it be helpful to create like a Teams group with all the energy managers and the K-12 districts for the state of Maryland? That way we can network. I mean, it's more a suggestion than a question.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you said that. Yes, that is something that I want to work on. And if there is, I've heard from a couple of different folks that is something that you all would want. I would love to be facilitator, though I don't know how you all would feel about, MEA being the facilitator, but I would be happy to do that if you all think that would be good. Joanna, maybe you have a note on that.
I don't. I have another question. I will refer to, I believe Raj is on the call, and she and others have convened sort of a Central Maryland energy manager group.
Okay, great. Well, I'll follow up. I definitely think that that's valuable. I think peer-to-peer learning is so important. And, if we can have a place where everyone can say, this is what I'm going for. This is what I'm going for. What did you do last year? I think that's super valuable. So happy to facilitate and support that.
Well, I was thinking too, for like demand response, a lot of us are in the same boat. And if one of us doesn't participate, we can mess a lot of stuff up for ESMAC and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I will follow up with that and start working on putting that together. Joanna, go back to you.
We are considering putting in an application that would replace steam for electricity, and we're wondering how you treat steam. Do we need to back into how the steam is created?
I would think so. I think how that is generated would probably inform whether or not it's eligible. We're really looking to replace fossil fueled powered equipment. So if it's steam generated from fossil fuels, I think that's definitely eligible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, thoughts, feedback, advice for other from other awardees who haven't shared yet? Awesome. Well, if there's no other thoughts, I thank you so much for your time today. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all about what thoughts you have on your project ideas and what you're thinking about. Please reach out for discussion about eligibility, about projects that might work, or even feedback. Happy to chat with you all. You all are my favorite people, so always looking forward to connecting with you all. I will email you all tomorrow with a couple of things. With the recording for this, I'll also share the PDF format for this slide deck, as well as some of the contact info for Tish and Greg at Gen 180. But please let me know, keep me in the loop on what y'all are thinking, and I'm really looking forward to working out with y'all this year. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and I will talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Kristen.
everyone.
180. Everybody.